Once again, thank you for coming back to the channel. I'm very, very close to reaching those 9,000 subscribers, and I thank everybody who has actually participated and returned to the channel. Now, you know that I don't buy all of the flesh tones that are out there on the market. I use 4 colors only, and I mix my own. And this is what I used to paint the portrait for this figure. I bought a 3D printed sculpt from another artist, got it in gray, and I painted it up to look like this. And yes, I still need to finish the eyes, but in essence, the actual tonal value on the skin tones, it's complete. And I really like the way this portrait turned out. Now, what I want to show you is the following, because I started out with, well, nothing. It was a black sculpt that I painted, well, gray, and I painted it black, and I added the tones to it. And I'm going to place it on this body that McFarlane gave us as a classic Superman. We know it's not a classic Superman. There's a lot of issues here. I did not switch out the trunks because I don't like the ones from the Superman 1000. It's a hard plastic. These are a soft, pliable plastic or vinyl, so they're a lot softer. I enhanced the emblem, and yes, I did switch out the cape because I do not like plastic capes. And you already know I switched out the head. Let's take a look at other options. So once I removed the cape, I proceeded to plug the hole that's in the back. And there is a peg that cape sits on or is glued to. I ended up using white epoxy. You can use whatever you like, milliput, etc. Allow it to dry, sand it down, and then color match your blues. These were not very difficult to color match. A lot of white paint, a little bit of blue, and I added it just to get as close to that tonal value, and there it is, it's done. Now you can seal it if you like. You're not going to handle this side of the figure anyway. The cape is also going to cover most of it, but keep in mind this is really up to your preference. If the cape is going to cover the whole, then don't worry about it, but if you're going to have it seen in any way, cover it up. Now this is a double layer cotton cape. Some of these do not have the emblem, some of these are not completely finished, and that's because they're my prototype. Now, I can't show you all of the techniques in this 13-minute video. It's really not a full-blown cape video. I have others that you can see. The techniques are pretty much the same. It's just that I use different materials, wire on some, no wire on another. But in this case, this is a museum or stoic pose. And I did use tape just to hold it onto the figure, just because I only have the one figure. I can't attach every cape that I make. I'll end up ruining the figure doing that. This is a single layer cape. It is also cotton, but it is fully wired all the way around. Now, this cape is sewn in because the wire causes tension. And if I just glue it in, it's going to tear it apart. It needs to be held in place all the way around the edges. Now, I did use red thread. That's why it's difficult to see the stitching. And I used very small stitching. You have to be careful when you do this because you can make it look like a parachute or like a pillow. You don't want that. So you have to find what stitching works best for the material that you are using. And remember that the gauge wire you use is determined by the material that you choose. The heavier the material, the heavier gauge wire you need. This is also cotton, single layer, but it's a short cape, but it is fully wired. This is not sewn in. This one is actually just glued all the way around the edges. But because the wire is so small, the material is so small, there is not the same amount of tension. However, this figure looks great no matter what cape you place on it. Now the next cape that you're about to see is also a prototype. I ended up not using it. I gotta fix it because there's a lot of issues in it. And again, these are just prototypes. The next cape is a large, full wired cape. It is wider, it is longer, it goes all the way down to the feet, and it really envelops the figure. But because this is a synthetic material like a rayon, it's very, very nice. It looks really soft. It photographs incredibly well, but it's so heavy. And the wire that I have here is 18 gauge. It's not strong enough to hold the weight of this single layer fabric. Now, before we get to the cape, I want to show you what I did with the emblem, or the logo that's on the chest. I wanted to make use of the accessories that came with my Superman tin from Mezco. So this is not new. I'm not inventing this. This has already been done. Place magnets on the inside, glue them in, or use resin to hold them in, and then place it back on there, and you can use those magnets. This, to me, is one of those little details that really makes it pop. Not just the head and the hands and the cape, but this little detail to me is very significant because now I have something that somebody else does not have. We can all change out capes, change out hands, switch out the head, but something like this, not many people have done it. So if you get to do this, you'll have something that others do not. Now, once you finish your Superman or remove that cape, you want to plug it in, cover up that plug in the back, and of course, replace the emblem that you removed. You remove it by using heat and a small screwdriver. Use glue that dries transparent when you glue it back in, not white. Otherwise, you have other issues to deal with. Now you have to install the cape. You can drill into the actual figure itself because the wire will need an anchor point, especially heavy gauge wire. Now we're using 20 gauge wire. Now, Superman's cape goes tucked in underneath that suit, not on top of it. Let me show you what a difference 20 gauge wire makes. I'll leave you with some video of different poses of this finished cape. And yeah, it still has a few little issues, but looks a lot better than the other one. And then you can proceed to make your own. Now, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. In any case, thank you so much for returning to the channel. Getting very close to 9,000 subscribers, closer to another giveaway. So make sure you come back. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that you liked the video. And once again, keep customizing. We'll see you next time.